What is up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Nowadays we are in the house a lot more often, so it's super important that we have recipes that we can turn to that are easy to make and that do not cause us too much trouble. On today's video, I will be sharing a recipe that I did for a roasted vegetable salad plate. I took a bunch of delicious vegetables, I roasted them up, put them on top of some greens, and I topped it off with a balsamic vinaigrette reduction. So if you're interested in seeing how I made this delicious roasted vegetable salad plate, stay tuned. My name is Lonnie, and these are Lonnie's Lessons. The first thing we're going to do is slice our eggplant. So we're going to take our eggplant and we're going to cut off that top green part that's not as edible. And then you're going to slice it widthwise and you're going to make these discs. And these discs are probably about 1/2 of an inch, and you're just going to slice them all the way down. Once you finish slicing the whole eggplant, then you're going to take a stack of the discs and you're going to cut them in half. Once you have all of them cut in half, lay your eggplant on an aluminum foil lined baking sheet, and you're going to drizzle about 1.5 tablespoons of olive oil on top of the eggplant, and then you're going to season with salt and pepper to taste. And then you're just going to take your hand, I'm not showing that here, but you're going to take your hand and just make sure that everything is incorporated on all sides of each piece. And then we're going to start with our sweet potato. This one is really huge. You don't have to use a sweet potato this big, but depending on what size you have is going to just depend on how much sweet potato you have. But you're going to take it and you're going to cut it in half. And then after you cut it in half, you're then going to cut thin slices of that half lengthwise to create like these strips. And then once you create the strips, you're going to cut those into cubes by cutting in the opposite direction. So you just take the strips, you put them together, and then you create these cubes, and you're going to just continue that on both sides until the whole sweet potato or the various sweet potatoes that you have are cut into little cubes. Then we're going to add our sweet potatoes to the same sheet pan, and then we're going to do the same thing that we did with the eggplant and sprinkle them with olive oil and salt and pepper. And I also decided to add some smoked paprika to the eggplant and the sweet potato. Next, we're going to take our Brussels sprouts and start preparing those. If you're not familiar with Brussels sprouts, what you're going to do is you're going to cut the stem end off, and then I like to cut them in half and then cut them in quarters just because I like smaller bite-sized pieces, but you can keep them whole or just slice them in half. It's really up to your preference, and you're going to continue to do that through your whole batch of Brussels sprouts. Of course, you want to rinse them beforehand as well to get off any extra debris or dirt that was on there. And then next, guess what you're going to do? Olive oil, salt and pepper, just like we did with the other vegetables. And I had to use a different pan just because I had so much sweet potato and eggplant, but this is something you can do all on the same pan. So don't feel like you have to use different dishes. If you have a big enough oven and a big enough pan, you can totally put all of these vegetables on the same pan to save dishes. Next, we're going to prep our peppers for our roasted peppers that's going to go on our plate. So we're just going to put them in a cast iron pan, and we're going to drizzle them with some olive oil and then rub the olive oil in nice and good. This is basically to lubricate the peppers and to make them nice and blistered and delicious once they come out. So after we do that, we're going to put them into a 375-degree oven, and we're going to put all the rest of the vegetables in there. The Brussels sprouts are going to be in there too at the same time, but I forgot to add them for this clip, and then we're going to let them bake away. While our other vegetables are baking away, we're going to prepare our red cabbage for our red cabbage and carrot slaw. To start, we're just going to take our red cabbage and we're going to cut it into more manageable pieces, and then we're just going to slice really, really thin because we want like a shredded effect, like a coleslaw. You can also use like an actual shredder, like a box grater. Or you could use maybe a food processor. I never tried that. I don't own either, so I'm just using a knife and it works just fine. So you're going to take the red cabbage and you're going to slice those thin slices all the way across lengthwise until you get a whole cabbage full of these thin little strips of cabbage. Next, we're going to make the dressing. So we're going to add some apple cider vinegar, the juice of half a lime, a garlic clove, some Dijon mustard, some honey, salt and pepper to taste, and then we're going to emulsify by adding some olive oil and blending. Then we're going to take some carrots and shred it into the cabbage mixture. The next step is to add the dressing to the slaw. So you're just going to take the dressing and dump it into the slaw, and then you're going to just take your hands or a spoon and mix it up just to make sure that everything's well incorporated. And once that's well incorporated, you're going to either put it in the fridge or just set it aside while we tend to the items that were in the oven. They should be nice and ready. So let's grab our roasted peppers. Our roasted peppers look really good. They look blistered and they look nice and soft. Again, you can control how soft you want them by leaving them in the oven for less time, but I like mine pretty soft. So we're going to take the stems off of these, and we're then going to take a knife and just slice them into just rough strips. I didn't show this on camera, but you want to make sure to take the seeds out because the seeds are really hard to chew. And yeah, that's it. You're going to set those over to the side. As you can see, our eggplant and our sweet potato look nice and good. They're kind of crispy, kind of soft, and they are ready for our salad. Next up is our balsamic reduction. So we're going to take a pot on high heat and add our balsamic vinegar as well as some honey to the pot, and we're going to bring that up to a boil. Once you bring it up to a boil, you're going to take it down to a medium-low simmer, and you're going to let it simmer for about 5 to 7 minutes until it's reduced at least half. If you like it thicker, you can reduce it a bit more, but the ideal consistency is for it to kind of coat the back of a spoon and be pourable. Remember that this is going to get thicker as it cools, so keep that in mind. Now it's time to assemble our salad. So I'm going to add some baby kale to the bottom of the plate. I like to play around with it just to make sure that the shape is good. You can also just toss this into a bowl if you don't have the extra time to make it super visually pleasing. I understand, but for me, I love to play with my food. I love to arrange it to make it aesthetically pleasing. So now that we have our greens placed, we're going to add our red cabbage slaw. And a tip for you when you're plating is to think about what colors are next to each other, and you want to use contrasting colors. So you can see here the red of the cabbage slaw. I'm going to choose to put the eggplant next as opposed to the red color of the peppers because red and purple are a bit closer. So I'm going to add my eggplant next to my eggplant. I'm going to add my peppers. Then I'm going to add my Brussels sprouts, followed up by my sweet potatoes. So you can see you have a wide range of colors and you have a visual break between each section of vegetables. The next thing we're going to do is in the middle, we're going to add our green onions, and I'm just adding a pile of green onions in the middle. And last but not least, I'm going to add 1/2 of an avocado. So one trick is to pit the avocado and then take a knife and slice then vertical slices across the avocado, and then you're just going to take a spoon and slide the spoon between the meat of the avocado and the skin, and you can scoop out the avocado and fan the avocado meat onto the plate, and it just makes a really beautiful design. Now that we have our plate plated, we're going to transfer our cooled down balsamic reduction into a squeeze bottle with a kind of thin nozzle, and we're just going to drizzle it all over the salad. And that is the final product. This salad is so delicious. It's so beautiful, and I think that you're going to be really impressed with this. All right, guys, so let's give this a taste. Let's see how I did. So I just want to make sure I get the sweet potato and the red cabbage slaw, some Brussels, and a little bit of avocado and red pepper. What else? I think that's it. Oh, the green onion. So this is what it looks like on a fork. Let's taste it. You guys, this is the perfect dish. First of all, it's super easy to make, and it just has such a great combination of flavors. And the thing I love about this recipe also is that it's super versatile. You don't have to use this combination of vegetables. You can add whatever you want. You can take out whatever you want. You can add onion to this. You could add broccoli, cauliflower. You could roast regular potatoes. I mean, the list goes on and on. Oh, mushrooms would be delicious in this. Anyway, let me know if you give this recipe a try down in the comments. That will be it for today's video. As always, give me a like if you like this video and you want to see more content like this. Click subscribe and also click the bell notification so that you get notified every time I post a new video, which is on Fridays. I leave you in love, peace, and style. My name is Lonnie. Until next time.